The scent of melted paraffin still clings to my jacket, sickly sweet and ghostly. It's a permanent stain from that October night. My phone hums with a new notification. The neighborhood chat is a boiling cauldron of theories. Fear, tangled with a childish giddiness, churns in my gut. It was just a harmless, nostalgic thing, I mutter. The words taste like ash. The truth is, it felt like an obligation. It all started with a faded pamphlet I found in the attic. Forgotten Legends of the County, a self-guided tour, it read, dated '87. Inside was a hand-drawn map. An X marked the ancient oak in the park. Something about that old Halloween ritual, the Whispers of the Souls, resonated deep within me. It promised to invoke the town's memory, to find the truth about secrets people refuse to acknowledge. That first night, I walked alone. A single taper flickered against the autumn chill. I placed it at the intersection of elm and oak, just like the pamphlet said. Nothing happened. Of course, I told myself. A wave of relief mixed with a strange disappointment. Then came the second night, and the third. Each time I left a lit candle, a silent offering at a different forgotten corner of our picture-perfect suburban town. The chat group, initially focused on lost pets and HOA complaints, started picking up the threads of my anonymous ritual. Anyone else seeing these candles? Someone posted. Some kind of cult? Another asked. Vandalism, a third person declared. The posts escalated, each theory wilder than the last. I loved it. It was a clandestine whisper spreading through the mundane. Then the whispers became screams. The fourth candle I placed was at the old abandoned mill, a place locals actively avoided. The next morning, a section of the mill's crumbling wall had collapsed. It exposed a small, sealed-off room. Local news reported it as a structural failure, but the neighborhood chat exploded. The candles did it, someone wrote. Ghosts, another person claimed. I felt a thrill, cold and sharp. That night, a frantic message popped up from Mrs. Henderson, our oldest resident. Someone's been digging in my azaleas, she typed. Her house was the site of my fifth candle. The next morning, an official-looking envelope addressed to the Whispers of the Souls Anonymous was slipped under my door. Inside, a grainy photograph showed the mayor's grand uncle, a prominent figure from the '80s. He stood with two other men, all with grim, knowing smiles. The back of the photo read, Oakwood Lake Development, 1987. Oakwood Lake, the place where several unexplained disappearances had occurred. The development was built over a previous community rumored to have been forcibly displaced. The pamphlet's X on the map was now eerily clear, pointing directly to the lake itself. My ritual was no longer a harmless exploration of local lore. It was a pry bar opening a very real, very ugly past. The stakes had officially escalated from spooky fun to unearthing potential crimes. I had to decide, keep lighting candles or extinguish the truth before it burned me. The photo, thin and brittle, felt heavy in my hand. It was a hinge point. I couldn't just stop, not now. The anonymous note leaver, whoever they were, wanted me to continue. The question was, why? What did they know? And what did they expect me to do with it? My heart thumped a quick writtle against my ribs. This was bigger than I'd imagined. The next evening, with the sun dipping low and painting the sky in fiery oranges, I placed my sixth candle, this time at the entrance to the Oakwood Lake development. It was a bold move, a direct challenge. I watched from a distance, hidden in the shadows of some pines, as a car slowed. The driver stared at the flickering light. A shiver ran down my spine, but it wasn't from the cold. It was a thrill, a taste of power. The next morning, the neighborhood chat was on fire. Not just theories, but outrage. They're messing with us now, one post read. This isn't just vandalism, it's a threat, another declared. I saw comments from people I recognized, even some from the local council. The mayor's office issued a statement dismissing the incidents as youthful pranks and promising increased police patrols. But the tone felt forced, defensive. They were scared. I could feel it. Then a new notification, a private message from an unknown user, Historian87. You're getting close, it read. The archives.
Look for the zoning permits, 1986, 1987. Ask about the old Kincaid family land. My hands trembled slightly as I typed a quick reply. Who are you? No answer. The user went offline. Kincaid family land. The name resonated from something I'd vaguely heard about local history, something hushed. The library was quiet the next day, smelling of old paper and dust. I asked the librarian, a kind woman named Martha, about the 1986-1987 zoning permits for the Kincaid family land. Martha's smile faded. Her eyes darted around the room. "Those records are tricky," she mumbled. "They're not easily accessible. You'd need a special request, and even then." "Why tricky?" I pressed gently. "Is there something wrong with them?"
She leaned in, her voice dropping. There was a fire years ago. Some of the older documents were damaged or went missing, especially around that period. She paused, then added, "It was a shame. A lot of history lost." A fire, missing documents? It felt too convenient, too neat. I thanked her, my mind racing. The fire wasn't just a shame, it was a cover-up. The stakes were no longer just about digging up old gossip. They were about uncovering systemic corruption, perhaps even violence. This wasn't a game anymore. It was becoming dangerous. That evening, I decided to take a different approach. I went to the town hall. The building felt imposing, its old brick walls seeming to absorb the last light of day. I approached the reception desk. A stern-faced man in a uniform looked up. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice flat. "I'm looking for zoning permits from 1986-1987, I stated, trying to sound confident, specifically for the Kincaid family land. His eyes narrowed. "Those records are archived off-site," he said. "They require a formal request. You can fill out a form." He pushed a clipboard and a pen across the counter. The form asked for my name, address, reason for request, everything. It felt like I was signing up for an investigation, not just asking a question. "Is there any way to expedite it?" I asked. "It's for a local history project." He shook his head slowly. "Process is the process. Could take weeks." His tone made it clear I wasn't getting those documents easily. I filled out the form, intentionally omitting my real name, using a made-up alias from the pamphlet, Whispers of Souls. It felt defiant, a small act of rebellion. Back home, I sent a message to Historian87. Library says fire, town hall says delay. What's next? A reply came almost instantly. Don't give up. The truth is there. Someone still has the real copies. Think about who benefited the most from the Oakwood Lake development. It was a riddle, but the answer felt obvious. The mayor, whose granduncle was in the photo, and his family. They had been prominent figures in the town for generations, always involved in major developments. My mind clicked. The current mayor was involved. He had to be. The seventh candle was placed on the mayor's front lawn, near his perfectly manicured rose bushes. It was a direct challenge, a spotlight on his silence. I watched from a parked car down the street. Lights flickered on inside the house. A figure, recognizable as the mayor, emerged onto the porch. He spotted the candle, then looked around, his face grim. He bent down, pinched the wick, and extinguished it, but not before I got a picture with my phone. The flickering light, his shadowed face, the defiant act of putting it out. This was proof. The next morning, I anonymously uploaded the photo to the neighborhood chat. "The youthful prankster has something to say, Mayor," I wrote. The chat exploded. Questions, accusations, disbelief. The mayor's office responded quickly, calling the photo doctored and a malicious attack. But the seeds of doubt were planted. People began sharing old articles, rumors about the Kincaid family, whispers about other forced land acquisitions. The dam was cracking. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "You've gone too far," a gravelly voice said. It was definitely male. Stop now or face consequences. Who is this? I demanded. My voice shook a little despite my best efforts. Someone who knows what you're doing and who you are. The line went dead. My blood ran cold. They knew. My anonymity was gone. This wasn't just about old documents anymore. It was about my safety. I didn't light a candle that night. Instead, I sat in my living room, the blinds drawn, my heart pounding. The danger felt real. The thrill had vanished, replaced by a deep, gnawing fear. I reviewed the photo, the messages from Historian 87. I had to keep going. I had uncovered too much to stop. The truth was just beneath the surface, and I was holding the key. The following day, I typed up a detailed account of everything: the pamphlet, the candles, the anonymous messages, the mayor's grand uncle, the Kincaid family land, the library fire, the town hall's delays, and the menacing phone call. I attached the photo of the mayor extinguishing the candle. I sent it to every local news outlet, every investigative journalist I could find online. It was a desperate move, a gamble. But if they knew who I was, then everyone should know why. That evening, the first story broke. A small local paper, known for its tenacious reporting, ran with it. Anonymous source alleges cover-up in Oakwood Lake development. The story was cautious, but it laid out the facts I'd provided. It also mentioned the sudden popularity of Whispers of the Souls candles around town. The dam truly broke. Other news outlets picked up the story. The mayor was forced to hold a press conference. He denied everything, of course, but his composure was cracking. His face was pale. Then came the call from a major regional paper. They wanted an interview. They wanted to know my real identity. I knew this was the moment of truth. I could stay anonymous, let the story fade into speculation, or I could step into the light, risking everything, but giving the truth a real voice. I called Historian 87. They want an interview. They want my name. The response came quickly. You decide. But remember, secrets thrive in the dark. Light is their enemy.
The phone felt heavy in my hand. I thought of the Kincaid family, of the unexplained disappearances. I thought of the quiet fear I'd seen in Martha's eyes at the library. I thought of Mrs. Henderson, her azaleas disturbed. This was no longer just my story. It was the town's story. It was their burden, and I had helped lift it. I took a deep breath. I'll do it, I typed back to Historian 87. I'll tell them everything. My name is Alex. The interview took place the next day. I laid out every detail, every suspicion. The journalist, a sharp woman named Sarah, listened intently, taking notes. She asked tough questions, challenging my assumptions. I provided the evidence, the pamphlet, the photo, screenshots of the anonymous messages, details of the town hall's stonewalling. She promised to follow every lead. The article hit the newsstands and websites 3 days later. It was a front-page story. My name, Alex, was right there. The mayor was quoted, still denying, but his words sounded weak against the mounting evidence. The piece detailed the questionable zoning decisions, the missing documents, the whispers of forced displacement. It didn't provide definitive answers, but it opened a floodgate of questions. The town was buzzing. People started sharing their own family stories, their own suspicions, some going back decades. It felt like the air had cleared, just a little. The day after the article, the mayor announced his resignation, citing personal reasons. It was a victory, but a quiet one. It wasn't an admission of guilt, but it was a tacit acknowledgement of the pressure. The town council announced an independent investigation into the Oakwood Lake development and the Kincaid family land. For the first time, it felt like justice might actually be possible. The paraffin scent eventually faded from my jacket. The neighborhood chat, while still active, shifted its focus from wild theories to discussing town policy and demands for transparency. I still got strange looks sometimes, a mix of admiration and suspicion. But I also got quiet nods of thanks, especially from older residents. My role in all of it felt like a dream sometimes, a strange, unexpected journey. I still kept an eye on the news, waiting for updates on the investigation. The truth, once buried so deep, was now out in the open, exposed to the light. And the candles? They had simply lit the way.
Update 1. The independent investigation unearthed significant irregularities in the 1986-1987 zoning permits for the Kincaid family land. Several original documents thought lost in the library fire were found in a private collection belonging to a former town council member. These documents clearly showed that the Kincaid family and several other families were indeed forcibly displaced with minimal compensation under questionable legal pretexts to make way for the Oakwood Lake development. The current mayor's granduncle, along with 2 other prominent figures from the 80s, were posthumously implicated in a scheme to illegally acquire the land. A new town ordinance was passed establishing a historical preservation committee and a public access archive for all town development records, preventing future cover-ups. The Kincaid family descendants are currently pursuing legal action seeking restitution. The town is now grappling with its past, but with a new commitment to transparency. The article's aftermath was a storm. My phone rang constantly. Reporters wanted follow-ups. Neighbors looked at me with new eyes. It was strange. One moment, I was anonymous. The next, my name, Alex, was everywhere. I met Sarah, the journalist, for coffee a week later. "The council members are feeling the heat," she said. The Kincaid family story resonated. I nodded. It was always about more than just one family. The independent investigation moved quickly. It was a good thing. Public pressure was building. People wanted answers. A month later, the first findings emerged. The old zoning permits from 1986 and 1987 were critical. They showed huge irregularities. Several original documents, believed lost in a library fire years ago, turned up. They were in a private collection. It belonged to a former town council member. That's convenient, I thought. These documents showed something terrible. The Kincaid family was indeed forcibly displaced. So were several other families. They received minimal compensation. The legal pretexts were questionable. All this made way for the Oakwood Lake development. It was worse than I imagined. My job as a municipal archivist became tricky. Some colleagues gave me cold looks. Others offered quiet support. The city council's trust in me was definitely shaken. They saw me as a provocateur now. I had exposed their secrets. "Is it worth it?" I asked Historian 87 in a private message. Truth always costs something, but what's the cost of silence? I thought about my quiet life. It was gone. I traded it for public scrutiny. Sometimes I got angry emails. They came from descendants of the original developers. They called me a meddler. It hurt. But then I saw Martha Kincaid on the local news. She was talking about her family. She thanked me by name. It was a public payoff, a huge one. The mayor's granduncle was posthumously implicated. So were 2 other prominent figures from the 80s. They were part of a scheme. They illegally acquired the land. It tainted a whole legacy. The current mayor resigned. He cited personal reasons. Everyone knew why. The town council passed a new ordinance. It established a historical preservation committee. It also created a public access archive. All town development records would be there. This would prevent future cover-ups. It was a real policy change. The Kincaid family descendants are now pursuing legal action. They seek restitution. The town is grappling with its past, but it has a new commitment to transparency. I lost my job at the archives. The official reason was restructuring. Unofficially, everyone knew. I was too much of a troublemaker. It was a high price. I found a new job though. It was for a nonprofit. They focused on historical preservation. It felt right. One evening, I sat by Oakwood Lake. The air was cool, the sun set. I watched new oak trees planted nearby. They were not markers of secrets anymore. They were symbols of growth and remembrance. The paraffin scent, once a ghost in my memories, now smelled like justice. It was a heavy price. My quiet life for their loud truth.
I realized some truths are worth more than any personal comfort. Some whispers, once spoken, can never truly be silenced. The community, bruised but healing, planted those new oaks. I looked at the water. It was calm. A new kind of peace settled over me. It was earned through the cost of conscience. Update 1. The class action lawsuit filed by the displaced families was successful. They received significant financial restitution. The old mill, instead of being demolished, was designated a historical site. It became a monument to the community that once thrived there. Update 2. The Whispers of the Souls pamphlet was officially recognized as a key piece of historical evidence. It is now displayed in the new public access archive, a tangible voice for the voiceless.
The price of truth can be steep, but the echoes it creates can resonate for generations. What truths are waiting to be unearthed in your own community?